Who has betrayed you? No one seems to know better about betrayal than the one that has been betrayed. But the one that has been betrayed seems to go around carrying a heavy burden of rejection. And in that bag of rejection, you will find phrases like, I can't believe this happened to me. I really can't believe that this individual did that to me. Why would he or she do me like that? Wow, this is just terrible. I would never have done that to them. The bag of rejection that we carry with betrayal gets heavier and heavier, because in the carrying of it, there is no stopping or resting along the way. It's like beginning on a journey up a incline carrying a 5-pound brick. Initially, on the onslaught of the journey, the weight doesn't seem so heavy. Burdensome, maybe, bothersome, because it's occupying and you really have no use for it, but it's there anyhow, and so you decide to carry it on your journey. And as you carry it on your journey, which is continuous and ongoing, the weight of it begins to multiply in its intensity. It doesn't grow, but it just seems like it does, because the constant wearing of it on you causes it to have seemed to have taken on a life of its own. It seems to be growing. Betrayal is an ugly, bad tasting poison that many of us have unfortunately been served. But let us be also quite honest about this. Many of us have also served up this poison of betrayal. So we know what it's like. We understand. But yet when it occurs to us, we act like it's something that just should never have happened. And the pain of it is so excruciating that many times you can't even bear to look kindly at the individuals that's responsible for the betrayal. And I use can't bear kindly because we're talking about individuals now, you and I, who have been born again into the body of Christ, who should have a different perspective on the way that people treat us. But yet we all know in truth that betrayal has a way of bringing out things in us that we thought were no longer there. They will surface quickly and begin to consume our lives. Like the individual carrying the brick that only weighs 5 pounds up an incline. The first inkling of that thought doesn't bear much weight. But the longer we ponder on it, the minutes become hours, and the hours become days, and the days become weeks, and the weeks become months, and the months become years, and the years become decades of holding on to that same sense of betrayal, and it burdens you down. And you begin believing that in spite of all of your own imperfectness and all of your own actions that may have had a similar reflection of this betrayal, that you've done nothing like this. And it's unbelievable that this could have happened to you. Betrayal. Who has betrayed you? Now, as you come face to face with the burden of this weight upon you and begin to recognize it for what it is, ask the question that needs to be asked. Because if we don't know where we're coming from, how can we know where we're going? We must ask the question, who has betrayed me? Instead of wallowing in the betrayal. So who has betrayed you? Begin there. Because only from there can we have growth to overcome and determine what needs to be done with this weight. As we study the Word of God, we find that there are some incidents, some prominent incidences of betrayal. Delilah betrayed Samson. Delilah betrayed Samson. And you find it in Judges chapter 16. Judas betrayed Jesus. And you find that in Matthew 26, verses 14 through 16. David betrayed Uriah. And you find that in 2 Samuel, the 11th chapter. So I ask, who has betrayed you? But as you consider it, also consider whom have you betrayed? Now, what is betrayal? Because there's a difference between betrayal and rebellion. See, betrayal is intentional deception leading to a breaking of trust or confidence. Whereas rebellion is just intentional opposition. We have been betrayed in here. And that's something that only a man can do. Because he was given free will. Man can betray you as well as rebel against you. But we're talking about betrayal right now. This is a characteristic that is common with man. Whereas with the angels, it was rebellion. Because they came up in opposition to God's authority. They weren't made in the image of God. Neither were they given free will. So all that was left for them was to either be in agreement or disagreement. To be under submission or choose to be counter to submission. To respect authority or to go against authority. And in their case, they chose rebellion, which also hurts. But our focus is on betrayal. The pain that comes to our human heart when we have betrayal. And why would there be pain? There will be pain if we can get a little deeper understanding of why we call it betrayal. Let's look at Psalms chapter 55. And we're going to start at verse 12 and finish with 13. And it reads as thus. For it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I would have borne it. Neither was it he that hated me, that did magnify himself against me. Then I would have hid myself from him. But it was thou, a man mine equal, my God, and my acquaintance. Now we begin to get a sense of what we mean when we're talking about betrayal. Because betrayal comes to tell us that there was a kinship relationship of comfort between you and an individual. And it went topsy-turvy. Let's look at it again. For it was not an enemy that reproacheth me. An enemy. It was not. We expect an enemy to be in opposition to us. We can identify them because they are in opposition. They live and do things that are counter to what it is we are doing or in agreement with. Therefore, we don't have close fellowship with them. And I can say then with much confidence, for it was not an enemy that reproacheth me. It was not an enemy who rose up against me. When my enemy rises up to attack me, I understand that. And I live in expectation because that will be common for him. But you, I couldn't identify you as enemy. There was nothing about you that said that you were the enemy. There were no demonstrated actions that said this is your enemy. Then it says, neither was it he that hated me, that did magnify himself against me. When you recognize that someone hates you, you understand that. You know who they are. Hatred is ugly. And it is not slow on making itself known. The words, the actions, and everything about hatred is poignant. It's very strong. It's extremely venomous. So you don't throw around the word hatred carelessly. Those who are close, they don't wear the banner of hatred. Again, you can look upon them and you can find nothing about their actions, nothing about their demeanor. There is nothing coming out of their words that reach your ears that tell you that they hate you. Why? Because in this relationship, you're hearing words and seeing actions of the contrary. They smile in your presence. They laugh with you when you laugh. They cry with you when you cry. They come to comfort you when you're down. They share in your good times. And they're there for you in your bad times. You call them friend because the evidence of who they are says that they love you and they care for you. Those who hate you don't love you and they don't care for you. Again, easily recognizable. So I can say now, if had been someone who hated me, I could understand. Who has betrayed you? And whom have you betrayed? Then it says, but it was thou, a man mine equal, my God, and mine acquaintance. It was you, someone who was just like me. Sometimes you were my guide, my G-U-I-D. I trusted you, G-U-I-D-E. I trusted you. I didn't have any problems following you or listening to you or going along with you or not questioning things where you were concerned. And you were my acquaintance. We shared things together. We did things together. I had no wall of separation of any kind between you and me. There was good interchange. Love abound. Friendship grew. But what happened? You betrayed me. And you have betrayed someone. But betrayal is a bitter pill. God doesn't like betrayal. God does not like betrayal. And neither does the victim of betrayal. You have been the victim, and you have caused individuals to be the victim of betrayal. And whether the perpetrator or the object, the end is the same. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. If I was in right standing, then I've got God on my side. But if I wasn't, then there's no protection for me. But thou, O God, shalt bring them down into the pit of destruction. David tells us here in the Psalm that he fully understands that which we should comprehend. That those who betray us are laying a pit for themselves. Or it's hurtful. In fact, it is practically unbearable in certain situations. Being betrayed by a close friend whom you've shared the delicacies of a serious problem, like your finances, your infidelities, your immoral cravings. You've opened up and you shared these things with someone only to find them coming full circle back to you through someone who is someone else's friend who says, I have a secret I want to tell you about somebody, but you can't tell nobody. Now, I don't really know who this person is, but it's juicy. And they tell you, and you recognize that it's you. They don't know that it's you, but you know that it's you. And you know that you've only told one person, and you've been betrayed. You're heartbroken and distressed. You become confused, and anger rises up in you, and you want to get even. You want to get them back for what they have done to you. And what they have done to you is they have betrayed you. But the betrayal is just the label on the bag. They're not conscious of how it has really affected your life, but you are. So the betrayal is magnified 100 times because what they did in a whisper has come back to you like a thundering avalanche. And your response is, how could they have done this to me? They were my friend. I trusted them. And now they put my business out in the street. And it's not all the time quite like that. Betrayal can come in